Hello, welcome to the show. It's the Money and Markets show, and I'm Charles Boji, your host. Now, a little while ago, government of Uganda made a decision to actually import oil products into the country directly from the suppliers. Now, the idea was to cut out middlemen, especially those sitting in Kenya, who are making the oil products in Uganda quite expensive to the final consumer or user. Now, what we are hearing, the first consignment that Uganda imported actually had a bit of challenges coming out of the Kenya Revenue Authority. And the reason that the KRA is giving is that the volumes that were declared, before Uganda made the decision to import were quite different from what was delivered at the port. Now, we'll be delving into details of that story in our subsequent shows. Once again, it's Money and Markets, and I'm Charles Boji, your host. Now, climate change is a real problem to the world, and countries and the entire globe is actually putting effort in trying to see how this problem can be reined in. Now, among these are players within key sectors like financial sector. And here, today, we're paying special attention to the banking industry and what they're doing to see to it that they arrest this problem from where they sit.
We do a lot of financing of a lot of these business ventures. At the end of the day, as a banker, we have responsibility towards the communities we live in, responsibility towards the environment, and we can't act responsibly by encouraging abuse of the environment. So the journey is just starting. Certain things could have happened in the past, but today, once we embrace and implement and concretize this framework, you won't have a bank lending money to someone encroaching on a wetland. Those are the kind of things that are within the ESG framework. If you go into the details of what it entails, capital is allocated to environmentally friendly projects. Capital is allocated to projects that will create social impact. Capital is allocated to projects that create economic development. Capital is that you have to make sure you actually measure impact. That is the whole objective. Some people are complaining about credit, but the ones who are complaining of not even being able to access that credit, I think there are a whole lot more. They are the majority compared. It's only a small minority complaining about the cost. I think as banks, we still have a job to distribute credit. Distribute more credit because it has a multiplication factor. So the more people we can get onto the credit journey, the better. And the fintechs and telcos have done a smarter job in terms of innovating those products that enable quick access to credit. And I think even as banks, there is a lot to learn from them. We need to distribute more credit. We need to grow credit. Uganda's credit, private sector credit to GDP is only 14%. In Kenya, it is 32%. Sub-Saharan Africa average is 30%. So we need to distribute more credit. I think for me, that is where the conversation starts, that if you have a multiplication effect on credit, a lot more businesses will survive. There will be more activity. There will be demand for products and services, for different producers. You are really growing the appetite for consumers. The industry, if I recall, is about 22 trillion in terms of what has been lent out. And our desire is to grow that figure. I think the opportunity is still massive to grow and lend to more Ugandans, lend to more projects, more enterprises. And at times, credit is not even just about the cost. It is the structure that you have. That is also very important for you to perform well. You must have the right solution for your business. However cheap the solution is, if it's not right for your business, again, it can give you a lot of headache. We need to work with all players, all related parties, to make credit more available. We need to see how to reduce on the issue of bad loans. It speaks to availability of credit. There we need help from other government agencies to help us also reduce on, because borrowers must have the willingness to pay. And then the bank tries to foster the ability to pay. But the willingness is from the borrower. It's not the bank to decide for you that now you have to return a depositor's money.
Today, Uganda's current account position is not that good. That's according to a report by the Bank of Uganda. So today we're trying to find out where is the problem coming from and what is being done to rein in this problem. Bank of Uganda is counting on its recent decision to buy gold from, among others, artisanal miners in the country to rein in the current account deficit, which stood at $4.4 billion, roughly 16 trillion Uganda shillings, in the past 12 months to April 2024. A current account deficit occurs when the total value of goods and services a country imports exceeds the total value of goods and services it exports. For Uganda, this has been steadily increasing in the recent past, partly driven by the country's investment in infrastructure and oil-related constructions, which heavily rely on imported items, against relatively fewer exports. In its recently published report on the state of the economy, the central bank asserts that the move to buy gold locally will help it accumulate international reserves, and at the same time, it expects imports of raw gold to reduce, contributing to the reduction in the total imports, and in turn leading to a decrease in both trade deficit and the current account deficit. To finance the current account deficit, the central bank is also counting on foreign direct investment, which is projected to expand in the next 2 years and is expected to be the main source of funding to bridge this gap. In the medium term, the report says the trade deficit is expected to narrow, supposedly by the oil export revenues, starting in financial year 2025/26 and gradually rising in the years ahead. The first oil production is expected in 2025/26 and is expected to accelerate to 230,000 barrels per day in the outer years. Overall, the report paints an optimistic economic growth outlook of between 6 to 6.5% this financial year, but is however quick to add the threats to this projection, notably a weaker global economy, reduced export demand, high freight costs, unfavorable weather conditions, among others. We'll now take a very short commercial break. Money and Markets continues after this break.